Today's question comes from someone who actually became a client. But the question is, what can I do to stop losing clients? And that's a great question. And there was a sub note to it. They keep going to the competition. What can I do to stop losing clients because they keep going to the competition? You know, it's interesting. There's been lots of studies on this particular subject, and the findings are that most people do not switch to somebody else because of price, or even because of perceived quality or service experience or anything like that. Most people switch providers or product providers or whatever because they don't feel appreciated. That's it. They don't feel appreciated. When you think about that, a lot of companies these days are going to a model in their sales department where they have inside salespeople, and COVID really accelerated that big time, of course. And so, you know, the old thing of the personal touch, you know, going to see someone at their office, meeting people at a coffee shop or at trade shows. I mean, all that personal touch, it has really been diminished. And most of the inside sales departments do more with email than they do with phone. So if you think about that, it's pretty easy to understand why people would feel like they're not appreciated, especially when they have an issue and they call or email and they get the FAQ or the automated attendant, and it just exasperates the issue. So here's what I would suggest on how to stop losing clients. First of all, there was a reason why they became your client in the first place, and that reason is probably personal to them. And we call, in our vernacular, we call that pain. Everybody has pain. Nobody wants to admit they have pain, but everybody wants to get rid of their pain. So they're looking for someone to fix a problem or get them to a higher objective, or in some way make their lives easier than it was. And so at some point in time, they selected you to do that, to fix the problem. And so what's really important for people to keep clients is to make sure that personal touch never, ever goes away. Even if you feel like, you know what, they're right, we're really not actually fixing their problem very well, have the conversation. Have the conversation. And there's a concept that we espouse. It's called CSER. And that stands for Chief Executive Semi-Annual Review. Okay, CSER, Chief Executive Semi-Annual Review. Don't get hung up on the chief executive part, and don't get hung up on the semi-annual review part, because it doesn't have to be twice a year. It can be once a quarter. It can be once a month. It can be whatever it needs to be for that client. And it doesn't have to be a CEO or a chief executive. It can be whoever the top decision maker is at your client organization. The point is, you have these meetings, and they have to be in-person meetings. Now, they can be via Zoom or Teams or some way like that, maybe phone even, but they need to be one person talking frankly to another person, right? The provider talking to the client. And we suggest that they use an agenda for that meeting that we call RECON, RECON, which I'm going to explain what the acronym is, but it denotes reconnaissance. And reconnaissance means you're going out there to find out stuff. That's what that means. Or, what's the lay of the land here? And so if you're having a conversation with your clients continually and regularly, whether there are issues or no issues, whether they're happy or unhappy, the point is, have these conversations to see what's going on, and make sure that they understand the value that you're bringing and that you are working on their issues, helping them to succeed, or finding out where you're messing up. And so you both have to have tough skin, because sometimes when we have our CSER meetings with our clients, sometimes the reason why things aren't going all that well is because they're not taking advantage of all that we offer. And so we need to communicate that to them in some nurturing but assertive way. And then the salesperson needs to have tough skin, because the client's probably going to tell them things that they really don't want to hear. But would you rather hear the bad news now so you could have a chance to fix it, or would you rather watch them go to the competition? And so we suggest that you have these regularly scheduled meetings with the top executives or the top decision makers at your client organizations, and ask them the tough questions and tell them the tough things that you see. And then when you conclude the meeting, you want to make sure that the next steps are clearly denoted as to who's going to do what by when. Because a lot of times what happens is you have a great meeting, but then the details, the follow-up stuff falls through the cracks because no one's really taking control of that. So really the bottom line is to have really frank, open discussions regularly with your clients, and you should lose fewer clients. And that's the sales tip for today. My name is Al Simon. This has been the Ask Al segment.